Hello everyone, welcome back to the playlist. In this video, we are going to be talking about Quicksort. Quicksort, as the name suggests, is significantly faster than the other sorting algorithms. Quicksort is based on the divide and conquer approach. So you might wonder, what is divide and conquer? Well, we have already tackled divide and conquer in binary search. In divide and conquer, a single array is divided into smaller ones, and this process is repeated for all created arrays until the array is completely sorted. Whenever we talk about quicksort, the first term that should come in our mind is a pivot. We choose one of the elements as a pivot element and partition the array around it. The goal of partition is such that the elements to the left of the pivot should be lesser than it and elements to the right should be greater than it. Let's look at an example to observe what would be the result of the partitioning process. In this array, we had earlier chosen 10 as our pivot element. After the process of partitioning, 9 and 2, which are lesser than it, are positioned to the left of 10, and 15 and 13, which are greater than 10, are positioned to the right. You can observe that it is not necessary for the elements to the left or right to be in the sorted position, but 10 is in the sorted position of the array. That means in the final result of the sorted array, 10 would still be positioned in the third position. As we have already discussed about partitioning and divide and conquer, let's look at an example to better understand these concepts. Over here, we have taken an unsorted array of 9 elements. The first step is the partitioning process. The partitioning process involves choosing the pivot. Over here, we are choosing 54. That means our first element as a pivot, but it is not necessary. We can choose any random element as a pivot. Now the next step involves pointing the markers, that means the left marker and the right marker, to the remaining list, that means from position 1 to 8. As I had mentioned earlier, the end goal of the partitioning algorithm is such that to arrange all the elements around 54, that means our pivot element, such that all elements to the left of 54 are lesser than 54 and elements to the right are greater than it. So this is the end goal of our partitioning process. After we have chosen the pivot elements, let's look at the role of the markers. The left marker is used to detect elements which are greater than 54. That means our pivot element. Initially our left marker was pointed to 26, but since 26 is less than 54, we incremented our left marker. We're going to increment our left marker until we detect an element which is greater than 54. So after 26, our left marker right now is pointing to 93. So 93 is greater than 54. So we will stop the incrementation of our left marker, since it has successfully completed its role of detecting an element greater than the pivot element. Now let's look at the right marker. The right marker is exactly opposite to that of the left marker. The role of the right marker is to detect elements which are less than 54. That means our pivot element. We are going to continue to decrement our right marker until we detect an element which is less than 54. The first element that is pointed by right marker is an element 20, which is already less than 54. Hence, we will stop the decrementation of right marker here itself. Now that right marker and left marker both have successfully detected their elements, we are going to swap these elements. That means we're going to swap 20 and bring it over here, and 93 is going to be swapped to the last position. Now that we have swapped the 93 and 20 with each other, we are going to continue to perform the role of the left marker and the right marker. That means we are going to increment the left marker until we find an element which is greater than 54 and decrement the right marker until we find the element which is less than 54. So after continuing to perform their functions, left marker finds 77, the next element greater than 54, and stops its incrementation. And right marker finds 44, the next element in its path which is less than 54. So after stopping the execution, that means incrementation of left marker and decrementation of right marker, we're going to swap 77 with 44. This process is going to continue until the markers have crossed each other. Over here you can see that 44 and 77 have already been swapped, and the right marker element is now to the left of the left marker. The elements 31, 44, 17, 20 and 26 are all less than 54, and 77, 55 and 93 are all greater than 54. You might have already guessed what we must do in order to complete the process of partitioning. Yes, we need to swap 54 with 31. That means the right marker element with a pivot element. After swapping the elements, we have successfully completed the process of partitioning. But you might observe that the elements to the left are still unsorted, as well as to the right. That is why we are now going to apply the divide and conquer algorithm. That means we are now going to divide our array into two parts: the left array, which is going to be supplied to the partition algorithm, and the right array to the right of the pivot element, which is again after that going to be supplied to the partition process. This process is going to recursively continue until the entire array has been sorted. Now before we go to the recursion part of the divide and conquer step in the coding part, let's look at the time complexity of quicksort. So the worst case time complexity is O(n) square. This occurs when the pivot is the largest or the smallest element in the array. This causes the left marker or the right marker to run through the entire array, and the number of iterations and the comparisons is maximum in this scenario. The best case complexity is O(n log n). This is the example which we just took when the pivot is in the center or near the center of the array. The average case complexity is O(n log n). Average case complexity is the summation of all the possible complexities divided by the number of test cases. Now the space complexity is O(n). Since we have not initialized any other array but are sorting the elements in the array itself, the space complexity is the size of the array. Now let's move on to the coding part. Okay, so we will be coding in C++ and on Visual Studio Code. So this is our basic starter code. Now the first step of any sorting algorithm is accepting the values from the user or the unsorted array from the user. So we are going to int size, then cout, enter size of the array, and then endl is used to print the next statement on the next line. Then cn, this is used to accept the value from the user. Over here we are accepting the size of the unsorted array which we are going to accept from the user. Then now that we have accepted the value, let's initialize the array. Now let's accept the values of the array. Enter Now in order to accept an array, we create a for loop of size I is equal to 0, int I is equal to 0. We need to initialize I, then I should be less than size I plus plus. So as you can see over here, we are accepting the values from the user of the values of the array. That means the unsorted array which we are going to then sort using quicksort. Now that we have accepted the values from the user, let's at least once display what we have accepted. That means before sorting, what is the condition of our array. Okay, so the next statement is going to be printed on the next line. So now we have successfully accepted the values from the user or the size of the array which we are going to accept. Then we have over here accepted the values of the user of the unsorted array from the user. Then over here we are simply printing the values which we have accepted. So let's once run this program and see if we are written it correctly. Yeah, so let's see. Enter size of array 5. Enter 5 integers in any order: 5, 4, 3, 0, 1. Yeah, so we have successfully accepted the values from the user. Next, we are going to create 2 new functions in order to execute quicksort. As we had discussed earlier in the theory part, the 2 main processes in executing quicksort is divide and conquer and partition. So let's make those 2 functions: void divide and conquer. So over here we'll be accepting the array, that means a comma, then the first element or the value of the first element and the last element. Okay, last position and the first position. So over here we have initialized the divide and conquer. So the second process we talked about was partition process. So over here let's initialize partition. So partition will be returning an integer, and partition will also accept the array which we just accepted from the user. It will accept the first value, then the last value. Okay, so now that we have accepted the first and the last value from the user, let's now initialize, or the first step of partition which we talked about was finding the pivot or initializing the pivot. So let's the pivot over there was the first element. So event pivot is equal to the first element, that means position first over here. So if we are considering 0th position as our pivot element, then our pivot will be initialized to 0. Then we had initialized 2 markers, so int I is equal to first plus 1 and int j is equal to last. Okay, now we have initialized our 2 markers. So for I over here would be the left marker, which is used to detect elements greater than pivot, and j over here would be the right marker. Okay, and over here we have initialized the pivot. Okay, so we have completed the initial steps of partition. Now as we had discussed earlier, we need to increment I till we find an element which is greater than our pivot element. So let's make a loop for that. While a of I should be less than or equal to the pivot element, and I should be less than last. So I should be less than last is so that we don't overrun the array, and this is used to check if our element which is pointed by I is less than the pivot element. If yes, it is less than I, then we will simply increment Ri. Okay, so this incrementation will continue till we find an element which is greater than a pivot. So after the end of loop, I will point to element greater than pivot. Okay, so similarly we have to decrement the right marker. So while a of j should be greater than our pivot element, and j should be greater than first, so that we don't encounter the pivot element or the first element, and the decrementation of j stops before that itself. So we are going to negate or decrement j over here. So this, after this loop has been executed, after end of loop, j will point to element less than pivot. Okay, so now after executing these two loops, we have to interchange the ing elements marked by ing. So before that, we also need to check if the ing pointer have been crossed each other or not. So if they had crossed each other, we need to exchange the pivot with the jth element or the right marker. But if they have not, or if they have not interchanged, but it's just a normal element which we have detected which is greater than, if they have not crossed each other basically, then we need to interchange the values of I and j. So if I is less than j, so this is used to check if they have crossed each other. So over here the brackets would look something like this. So we simply need to swap the elements. So first of all, let's initialize a temporary variable integer or temp, and store the value of I in temporary variable, and basically complete the swapping process. Okay, now we have swapped the elements. Now we need to run this process, and after we need to run this process till we cross each other, till the left marker and the right marker cross each other. So we need to basically create a loop to run this process until then. So let's create our overlooping while loop. That means we have created nested loops over here. So while I should be less than j, yeah, so this process is going to run till the pointers cross each other. Now after the pointers have crossed each other, the first step which we did was swap the value of jth element with the value of pivot. So let's store the value of pivot inside temporary, then a of pivot is equal to a of j. Okay. Yeah, and a of j is equal to temporary. Okay, now after we have swapped this, we need to simply return j. As you remember earlier, we need to also do the divide and conquer process. So that is why we need to basically return the j, so that we can divide the remaining elements, or the left hand side part and the right hand side part. So that is why we are going to return the value of j. Okay, now there is one additional step which we need to do, that is add if I is less than j, another if condition over here to check if the pointers have crossed each other, and engulf it over here. So this if statement is used to check for two elements. So this is used to check for when two elements are there. Our array consists of two elements. For example, if we have 2 and 3, so the values which have been supplied to us are 2 and 3. So we need to basically sort these using the partition algorithm. So over here the pivot would be 2, and both our left marker as well as the right marker would point to 3. So in this scenario, we would basically not run the while loop, but interchange the values of 2 and 3. That means j is pointed by 3 and pivot is 2. So basically we would after this process, what would happen is 3 would come before 2, and this would result in an error, right? Since 2 and 3 are already in sorted position, we do not need to sort them. So that is why we have added this loop. So in case if there are 2 elements present, then I and j would be equal and this condition would not be satisfied. So in the end we would simply be returning only j. So that is why we have placed this condition. This value is used to check if I and j have overlapped, okay, or crossed each other basically. Okay, now the first step in divide and conquer would be to write a if condition. So if first is less than last. So the reason we are writing this condition is to check if only one element is left. So if only one element is left to sort, then the entire array has already been sorted. So we need to stop the process of divide and conquer. So after we have checked if first is less than last, let's write the actual code of divide and conquer. So in divide and conquer, we are basically also going to call the partition algorithm which we wrote. So partition then we are going to pass the array which we received, the first element and the last element. Okay. And after we have called the value of partition will return the split point or the position at which we have positioned our pivot element. So this is going to return our pivot. Okay. So after we have returned the position of the pivot, we simply need to execute or sort the remaining parts, right? So remaining parts meaning the left part and the right part from the left part and right part of the pivot element. So we need to basically again call divide and conquer and pass the values of divide and conquer and pass the values of a comma first, that means the array, comma j minus 1, that means the length in which we need to operate. So over here we are passing all the array first and last, meaning first over here would represent first itself and j minus 1 over here would represent all the elements to the left of the pivot. So over here we are sorting elements to the left of pivot. Okay, so and after that we also need to sort the elements which are to the right? So divide and conquer a comma j plus 1 comma last. Okay, so over here we are sorting elements to the right of pivot, and this process is going to continue until only one element is left. So over here we are sending elements from to the left of pivot. For example, if our array was something like this, after positioning of pivot 11, 23, 0 and 34 and 46. So over here let's assume that 34 over here is our pivot element after partitioning, and we have received, after partitioning we have received the position of j, that is 4 or 0, 1, 2, 3, third position. So we are simply going to pass divide and conquer again, that means 11, 23, 0 to the divide and conquer algorithm, and then 46 alone to the divide and conquer algorithm. So initially when we had passed the lower elements, it is again going to check if first is less than last. Yeah, first is still less than last, so it is going to partition the values which we have just sent. So after this we are again going to call the partition algorithm and use the pivot elements and sort the array according to that. And if we sent, next we had sent 46 to the divide and conquer, recursively called it. So 46 and 46, first is pointing to last, so we are simply not going to execute this part. So over here, this is how this divide and conquer recursion call works. It recursively calls itself until only one element is remaining, and if only one element is remaining, then the entire array has been sorted. So basically over here we have written the two processes in quicksort, that is divide and conquer and partition. So after we have completely sorted the array, we need to print it, right? So this is how the printing process is going to work. First, we are going to call the divide and conquer in our main function. Over here we are going to basically pass the array, the 0th element and the size -1. Okay, to the, that means we are basically passing the entire array to the divide and conquer. Then after the entire array has been sorted, we must remember that this is a pass by reference. That means all changes made to the array will also be reflected in ARR. So after this divide and conquer and partition process have been completed, the array is now sorted. So basically we need to print the values, that means the output. So let's call cout after sorting handle, and use a for loop for int I is equal to 0, I should be less than size I plus plus. Okay, and then let's see out the values of the array. Return 0. So over here we have completed the process of quicksort. So over here we are going to print the result or the sorted array. Okay, so basically over here we are calling the divide and conquer process. Over here divide and conquer is going to call the partition, then it is going to divide the array into two parts and then call itself, recursively call itself. And after the entire divide and conquer process has been completed, we are going to check if first is less than last, to check if only one element is remaining. If only one element is remaining, that means the entire array has been sorted. So we are going to return the point or function or running of the program back to the main, where we are going to print the sorted array. So let's basically check if there are any errors which we have performed. Okay, so we have a few terminal errors. Let's resolve them. Line number 36. Okay, we have used the wrong bracket. Okay, so there are no more errors. So let's check for the if our quicksort is running fine. Let's enter 9 elements. 54, 26, 20, 32, 55, 71 and 0. And we have entered 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 7 elements. Let's enter 9 and 100 as well. Okay, so now we have entered 9 elements. Let's press enter. So before sorting, it looks something like this: 54, 26, 20, 30, the values which we just entered. And after sorting, 0, 9, 20, 26, 32, 54, 55, 71, 100. So we have successfully executed quicksort. And thank you for tuning in.